CAM, Continuous Authentication and Monitoring. We're here to secure your company's future. We're an information security company, specifically with regard to mergers and acquisitions, as well as the regulated marketplace. Think SEC. This handsome gentleman is Rod Latham, Prabhat Singh, and I am Nathaniel Henry. We are the principals that founded this organization. Here's our agenda. We're going to take you through the problem, what we are as a company, our offering, technical solution, the market, sales strategy, as well as our financial data. The problem. We all know that most companies inadequately secure their people, processes, and technologies. Within the M&A and government-regulated marketplace, CAM provides an answer. We thwart poor security practices, call out the insider threat, as well as the negligent users within your space. Bottom line, a very large number of mergers and acquisitions go unrealized, resulting in losses, unrealized gains. How much of this could have been prevented? We're here to stop that. Next, please. What is CAM? Again, we're an information security company. We secure the people, processes, and technology by providing a composite solution. We marry two capabilities, data security as well as behavioral analytics. By bringing these two items together, we reduce false positives for your security team, improve data security for your organization, as well as data sharing, as well as ultimately reduce your money expended, prevent any mishaps, and improve your reputation through a successful M&A process or a quarterly filing. What follows next is a technical solution.
Thank you, Nat. So the A in CAM is for authentication. And since that is the key to securing the data, let's take a brief look at the typical authentication paradigm. First, typically you connect to an application such as a website that is subject to denial of service attacks, attacking the application until it's no longer available. Then you're providing credentials, which can typically be stolen, perhaps, and exploiting a server. Finally, a multi-factor authentication token, which, if compromised, can lead to an advanced persistent threat laterally moving throughout the network. An example of that is Target breach back in 2013. So how are we going to solve this? We're going to take a look at a concept called the software-defined perimeter, which was first introduced back in 2013 by the Cloud Security Alliance. What this model shows is that you move the multi-factor authentication token to the beginning of the process instead. What this does is it individualizes a token for each individual user or device prior to connecting to the application. This effectively hides the application, moves the process to the end. It's a concept that's sometimes called the dark cloud. You can't attack what you can't see. So to take a little bit more in-depth look at the technical architecture, the three little areas on this slide I'd like you to take a look at are the client on the left, the controller at the top middle, and the application on the right. I'll sequence through a few events just to show how the data flows. So the first step is for the client to download a PKI certificate from the controller, and for the client to connect to the controller using what I'm just going to call a client crypto. This client crypto is then passed from the controller down to the application gateways on the right in preparation for the client to connect to the application. And the final step is for the gateway IP address or for the application to be passed back to the client to then be, to provide the information for the dynamic secure connection between the client and the application. This creates what we're just going to call a triangle of trust, so that the CAM controller is effectively authenticating both the client on the left and the application on the right. We'd like to mention that this application does scale. While during mergers and acquisitions and proprietary data, we don't expect there to be lots and lots of users, but in the future, if we decided to expand our offering, this particular solution does scale upward to lots of users. On the far right-hand side, you'll notice the CAM manager. That's where the securing of the data takes place that Nat talked about earlier. And just above that, you'll notice the CAM behavior module. And that is where our behavior analytics takes place, which is what Prabhat will elaborate on next.
So if you go to the first one, please. So for behavior analytics, I'm going to walk you through the concept behind our behavior machine, how it works. So what we're using is soft computing. And the reason we're using soft computing is that it helps us build a high machine IQ, and it provides robustness to the system. And then third thing is it gives you low cost in development. So if you can see, the raw data comes from different sources. It could be from emails, it could be from IT operation logs. So all those raw data, we gather that together. We parse that data using Java abstraction. And once we have that data parsed into small segments, we combine the similar data together. And then we use what we call pre-processing. And during pre-processing, we merge that data together and into a cluster. And those clusters gives you a better picture of behavior. So if you can see in not too much technical terms, so if you can go to the next step, please. So raw data comes in. So think it is like a jigsaw puzzle. So we have all small pieces together. So we start building that puzzle one by one, which helps us remove the false positives. So every step we see raw data comes into observations, and from observations we go to indicators, and from indicators it shows us a behavior for that user. And building in that, we use machine learning for our reasoning, and then we use ontology to build that structure. So as you can see, coming from small puzzle pieces to make a picture out of it. So it gives us a big, a clear behavior indicator. So that concludes our technical flow for our solution. And now we'd like to move to the target market.
All right. The target market. Last year, there were approximately 47,000 mergers and acquisitions. We recognize that often an organization will acquire more than one company throughout the course of a year. We've pared that down to a market size of about 40,000 companies in 2016. We anticipate this trend to continue upward, as you see in the graph. This graph is data from the Institute of Mergers, Acquisitions, and Alliances. So that's our target market for 2016, going after these companies. In 2020 and beyond, we expect to continue by about 50%, getting up to a target market of about 60,000 companies. To make up that difference is the organizations within the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, S&P 500, about 4,000 actively traded companies. There's also a very large number of thinly traded organizations, bringing the total close to 60,000. And that is our target market. With a target market of this size, we expect to have competition. Please. The competition comes in two flavors. We have organizations such as Box and Dropbox. These are file sharing organizations, data storage organizations that are lightly secured. We have organizations such as Palantir, Insider Spider, FortScale, these big data analytics companies, these companies that monitor the threat within an organization. Very large, maybe a little bit more cumbersome to employ. And then we have CAM and our offerings. What we've done is taken really the value proposition from these two organizations and brought them together. Kind of a one-stop shop that will allow our customer to come to provide a solution that can be tailored to their company space. And with that, we will take you through sales. As with competitors of this nature, we have to be competitive.
Thank you, Nat. Pricing details. So let's talk a little bit about when a customer signs up for our service. They will receive a core plan for $4,995 that includes service for the first 4 months. This includes 6 named user licenses, so we license everything per seat for named users. Includes 1 gigabyte of storage. Also includes installation and provisioning of the product, along with any support that may be required while they're going through the setup process. If a company needs in excess of 6 named users, they can be provided at a per user cost of $139 per named user per month, in addition to the 6. And if they need anything in excess of that 1 gigabyte, they would pay a $15 per gigabyte per month storage cost, which includes backup and the encryption that occurs on the back end of the solution. Following the 4 months, it's pay-as-you-go licensing, meaning that if a company is paying for 10 user licenses at the end of the 4-month period, they would pay 10 times $139, along with any storage that they wish to use at that point. So moving on to sales and marketing. Our initial strategy will be to make lots of sales calls and form partnerships with existing companies that do mergers and acquisitions today, such as law firms, financial institutions, consultancies, et cetera. There are other M&A software companies out there, one based here in Chantilly called Devonsoft. Would all be a great partner to build our relationship with the marketplace. Also planning on doing a lot of direct face-to-face interactions, specifically at trade shows, building trust with the marketplace in making sure that we know that the market is willing to accept our product. Since there are 2 parties to a merger and acquisition, we expect that Company A will tell Company B what they're doing to protect the data surrounding the transaction. And so we expect that word of mouth will be a big driving factor in the scalability of the product. We plan on publishing some white papers on our website and through distributing regarding the product's both architecture and benefits. And finally, WebEx demonstrations. As we ramp up over the first 5 years, we plan on leveraging technology to provide demonstrations for the product to multiple customers simultaneously to sell to more customers at the same time. And finally, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which is a competitor to Salesforce. We plan on leveraging that product to track the sales life cycle for all of our potential customers going forward, and keeping track and leveraging LinkedIn to its full potential as far as moving throughout the marketplace. And now Pravjot is going to discuss our financial projections.
So as you guys see on the previous slides, so based on our sales, target market, and pricing, we made some financial assumptions. And based on those assumptions, we are projecting that by end of 5th year after the product is launched, we'll have about $5 million in revenue, $5 million in revenue. So first year we'll be spending on developing that product, and we are thinking of using agile methodology to develop that product, and it's a minimal viable product. We'll keep on testing it, and based on customer feedback, we'll be developing that. So our goal will be to reach 1,000 users by the end of 5th year, and corresponding profit, if you see, is a $3.6 million to $5 million revenue in 5 years. So if you go to the next slide. So currently we are in a project development stage company, and we do not have any client base yet, and we do not have any source of revenue available to us. So we are requesting $2.5 million in the new capital, which we'll be using in client development, our product development, and business development. And first year we'll be spending that to develop our product, test the product, any cost which occurs for our business from administrative perspective. And on using the net present value method, we have about $2.578 million at 20% discount rate. And we are thinking of paying our investors by the end of fourth year with an internal rate of return of 33%. So that's our financials, and on the right, we are showing the worst, most, and best likely scenario. So we took the most likely scenario for us. And just to conclude our presentation, we are seeking this money so that we can develop our product early, so we can launch in the market early to take that first mover advantage in this area. And to conclude our presentation, CAM is a security company who's providing this solution and helping M&A's due diligence process to make it more efficient and more secure.